Hello, everyone. Welcome. This is go-ipfs. If you were here for the last one, awesome. Basically, what we're doing today is instead of having the normal hangouts, or Jeremy talking about what he's doing, or David, or whatever, we're going to be going through specific roadmaps we've developed over the past week or so at the workshop and elsewhere. This roadmap can be seen on GitHub, on the PM repo in the FS organization. If you look at the sprint issue for today, issue number 130, you'll see a link to it, as well as a link to an Etherpad. And basically what we're going to be doing is going through this roadmap we have for the next couple of months or so and look at whether or not it matches up with our design for the future and what we want to do about it. So I'm going to let Emily and While You're Sleeping talk for most of this. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them on IRC and I will look at them and raise them. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching. And Emily, I think, do you want to take it away? How's it going to go?
Well, Jeremy, if you want to review the roadmap that we have, that would be cool.
Yeah.
And then we can also talk about the outstanding issues from Q2 and what all needs to be added to the roadmap.
All right, cool. So on the issue, we have saying for end of July, pre-Q3, we wanted to ship go-ipfs 043, wanted to have sharding for sure, and then there's some other things on there which I don't know why they're put on pre-Q3. I think that was a mistake. I don't think that was written up. But as far as shipping 043, we have some UX issues that we are waiting on. We got the release candidate out, which is good, and we've identified and fixed a few bugs already for that. The second release candidate should be out probably in a day or two. Down to sharding, I've got some good working on that. Given if I have enough time this week, I will be able to have that done and a pull request out for that this week. That's going to be post 4.3, just so we can not push a not quite tested feature out into a release so quickly. Past that, we don't have anything that we scheduled for the first week of August, which is great because all of the stuff from the end of July is going to be first week of August. Second week of August, we want to ship Intervations JS IPFS. I'm not sure what.
I don't know what it is. There were some scribble errors in taking it down from the wall of issues that we had and onto this thing.
Some of the parts did not have the clearest handwriting.
Might be a good idea to actually take this issue and put it in the Etherpad and edit it directly. Should we do that?
Can we just edit?
That's probably a good idea.
Okay, I'll do that. Give me 1 second.
Okay. So one of those checkboxes is not get the public key from sec.io, and the second is WebSockets. Not getting the public key from sec.io, I think, is not something that we're going to worry about because we want, Kuba. So we want to be able to implement sec.io. Friedel was working on that, so we don't have to worry about that because we don't have any interoperability between the two without sec.io in the first place, so it's kind of no point there. The second bit is WebSockets, and I have this working, just need to get it merged and tested as with everything. Past that, multiple protocol version handling. Juan, David, and I made some good progress on how exactly we're going to do this the other night, and so we have that figured out. It should be pretty easy to implement, and I think we'll probably be able to make at least that part second week of August. And then we have the data store too many file descriptor fixes, which actually got done. So I'm going to check those boxes right now. Week 3, we want to have multi-codecs implemented. This is
why could you edit the Etherpad instead of on GitHub?
Did you post to Etherpad?
Yep.
Cool.
It's in IRC and in the side chat bar here, and on the sprint issue.
I'm looking for it on Etherpad.
It's in the chat. Okay.
There we go.
So that way we can actually edit stuff again.
Cool.
Thanks.
All right. So yeah, multi-codecs implemented. This is going to change to be not just multi-codecs implemented, but we also need to implement, well, first we need to decide on our content ID's spec. as far as the changes for IPLD padding that we discussed, and I think Juan just posted an issue to discuss this. Let me see if I can find that real quick and post that here because it's relevant. Dun, dun, dun. Cool. Yeah, so that's this one. Minus the issue comment. Cool. So we need to figure out and implement the multi-codecs and the CID v1, as Juan's calling it. That's going to probably take a bit more time. I don't know how, like, the overall timeline on that's going to work because, to be talking the other side, I'm going to move. And it's dark in here.
The ship interventions was actually ship integrations with JSIPFS.
Ship integration? Okay.
Integrations, yeah.
Cool. All right. So, yeah. Implementing Kit, CIDs, v1 is going to be good. Then we have benchmarking set up, so automated suite on TeamCity, as well as benchmarks across the entire API space. So this is going to be dependent on Kuba for the most part. I'm going to be able to help out a bit, but I will be busy. So Kuba, how likely do you think this will be? Should we try to move this back, or because you also are working on?
Like
sorry?
I'm working on simulti-hash, right?
Yeah.
But I have first, I have the first, it's ready. I have to add a few tests, and it's ready for review by people.
Okay.
I have the basic implementation done of simulti-hash, so I can start working on the benchmarking platform, and yeah.
Okay. Keep in mind that there are other goals that we're working towards.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So with that in mind, are you still thinking?
Benchmarking is not a priority.
It is quite a priority.
It wasn't decided as such by the team.
Yeah, it's fairly priority.
We have it's blocker for many PRs right now. Like at least 3 PRs are blocked currently because we don't know if they are beneficial or not.
Yeah. So week 3 or week 4?
We also have it on September week 1 by Exit as a duplication. So.
Interesting. Let's just move it to week 4 and deduplicate that.
Okay.
Because we already have better metrics as part of week 4.
But metrics are not connected to benchmarking in any way.
Right.
And
yeah,
metrics is next thing something I will be working on.
One second, the window's open. Cool. So, past that, we have extracting the gateway to its own tool using the core API.
It was Lars's job.
This is a Lars thing.
When Lars comes back?
Yeah, does anybody know when Lars is getting back?
At least 2 weeks, I think.
He's getting back on the 23rd.
On the 28th? Hold on, Kuba.
He took 3 weeks, so...
The 23rd is when he was planning on getting back, so he'll have the last week of August to try and finish this.
Okay.
I don't know if he can do it in a week, though.
Yeah. Let's leave it there for now. We can always move it back later when he gets back. Cool. Better metrics. We should. One of the to-dos on here is specify what better means. So let's figure out what we want to do as far as improving our metrics, whether that's more integrated IPFS things or gateway response timing and such stuff. Cool. September week 1. IPLD
since
blocks.
we already have, Jeremy, since we already have August, can we touch base about the outstanding items to see if there's anything else that needs to be added for August?
Meaning?
Meaning, here, I'll add it to the ETH pad. At the top, we had a list of things from the 2006 Q2 doc that we reviewed. Things that were not completed, which it looks like somebody already went in and added some check marks. It's at the bottom of the ETH pad. So it has the list of go-ipfs bug fixes, reduce idle bandwidth usage, net traversal, fix memory leaks, improve testing for 0.4. You see all that?
Yep. So I mean, testing. That's so the bug fixes are all complete enough to be no longer prioritized.
Okay.
None of those got prioritized during the meeting. I'm not super concerned with them, other than reduce idle bandwidth usage, which was brought up, and we decided that IPLD was more important than that.
Okay, so we're completely crossing that off and not factoring it in.
Well, it's going to be on the long list, but it's not going to be on the short list, which is what we're going over right now.
Okay. So what about under the improvements?
Yeah, under improvements, testing. Yeah, I mean, we always need to get better at testing. That's kind of we should probably quantify what is meant there. Reduce bit swap RTT. This actually means is implement bit swap has on requests. We talked about this the other night, and we came up with something. Basically, there are some bugs in BitSwap that we need to fix alongside this. And, oh, speaking of which, here's one. So we need to basically have a request ID for each entry, and that needs to be sent back and forth and then used when we're sending blocks to people to make sure that we keep track of them and can hash things properly. So that's kind of alongside the BitSwap's paths changes, because we're going to have to change that all at the same time when we change the protocol. That's priority for IPLD, because we're going to need these changes for the IPLD integration, probably. Past that, improve disk performance. This is blocked on the metric or the benchmarks. So benchmarking needs to happen, then we can do that. Easy to consume API for transfer progress and stats. Yeah, we need to, let's see, we need to outline use cases and expected and API features.
So when should that be slated for? Is that an August thing or QC?
Roughly Q3. It's something we want.
October?
It could be October. Okay. Note and use versus notes for myself and or others. Access node versus app node problem. This is another one of the ones where we need to define use cases and like what means. It's fast sharding. This is already slated, so I can drop that. And resource limits. Yeah, resource limits. That's a thing we need to work on, but is not been slated for Q3. So storage limits shouldn't take too long. We can probably throw that one in September somewhere. Memory limits is really hard. Bandwidth limits has hard performance issues. Or if we start limiting bandwidth, then we have to worry about limiting different protocols versus other protocols, and one protocol choking the others out, blah blah blah, which gets difficult to do. Yeah, so that's that review thing.
Okay, so none of those affect the timelines for August.
No.
Okay.
Other than what I just removed of the Unix fast sharding.
Right,
Which is already in the August, yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Now September. So IPLD block store integration. This is going to require the content ID stuff to be finalized and implemented, I believe. Which, yeah, since we're listing multi-codecs. Wait, we're listed multi-codecs twice. In August week 3 and in September week 1.
Yes, we did. So pick one.
That depends. One, how long do you think the content ID bike shedding is going to take?
Good question. I just shipped this back. That's what I was doing. That's what I need to switch this. We'll see. I think if the initial review comes back positive, then we can move fairly quickly. If the initial review is like, oh my god, this is insane, then it might take longer.
Yeah. Okay. Let's realistically leave it in September week 1. So let's remove it from August week 3. Let's leave August week 3 more blank.
You had it in August week 3 on the board, but it was in the lower section. We didn't actually go through.
Sorry, say that again?
You had it in August week 3.
On the board last week?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's week 1 of September. Okay, September week 2. Ship go-ipfs 044. That is adorable.
Should it be ship 044 or ship RC1?
Yeah, let's say ship the RC there. And then, because basically the whole reason for this one is to have a Unix fast sharding. That's our core thing we want in that release. And it shouldn't be a huge release. We shouldn't have too much stuff in it. So it shouldn't be too hard to get through. And I think that's realistic, honestly. Cool, now September week 3. Here comes the fun stuff. We want to, by September week 3, be done with our code coverage push. This means across all of our Go repos, we have over 80% code coverage on all packages. I have in my goals thing that I'm formulating and going to post as a captain's log update a very large list of every single package that implies. So I'm going to put that, and then we're going to go through, and it'd be nice if we could figure out how to automate this. And so I think part of this goal is to figure out how to automate code coverage across all of our repos, and maybe even have a dashboard for it on the project repos page or something. Who knows? But
it would be nice to have something like in other languages where we have just batch from CI.
So coveralls
With
does
coverage.
a badge. So
For
we
Go?
need to, yeah, for Go. So we need to figure out coveralls stuff. A couple of our repos have coveralls set up, but I don't know if it works. So we'll look into that. And that'd be really cool to have, like coveralls for all of our repos. What this means, though, is that we want it done on September week 3, which means that it has to be in progress through the last 6 weeks before there. That's going to be roughly it's going to be like 5 repos completed a week, which I'm estimating is going to be 20 hours worth of work per week, which is a lot. It's probably less than 20, but that's just kind of a bloated
Also assume
estimate.
that other people may be helping you with that.
Yes, and this is something that can be easily shelled out to any contributor. So I'm not super worried. Yeah, you could do it, Richard. You could write Go test. So I'm not super worried about making this deadline because, yeah, it's something really easy to ship and push to other people. Ship complete go-ipfs API. We need to find. So we could either take this over more ourselves, which is going to be a fair time investment, or we need to source the community to find somebody who's willing to take more ownership on this. Either way, we want to have this complete, documented nicely, have all the API calls implemented, and actually have tests. We don't have tests for this right now. Next up, go//IPNS. I think this is just IPNS. Yeah. So we want better performance. Yes. Right now, the performance, I think people are complaining about performance on publishes, and people saying it takes from 10 to 30 seconds on a publish. The resolve times have been pretty fast, talking to people who use it.
It isn't. Like, even DNS resolve time with local cache, DNS caching is around every time few tenths of milliseconds. So that is something we need to work on because it is for every request.
A few tens of milliseconds?
Yes, resolve time.
That's better than a second.
No, that's DNS only DNS based IPNS, not IPNS, not DHT based IPNS.
Yeah, I'm talking about DHT based IPNS.
So DHT, I was getting times about a couple of seconds. Yes.
Yeah. So that's not the huge bottleneck. It actually gets really fast when you're fully connected and have made queries previously. So it's not priority to fix resolve time, but it should be priority to improve publish time. So we'll look into that. The other thing I want to start doing is I want to use IPNS for one of our websites. We should start thinking about a candidate for this. Should be a website that is used with some frequency, but not horribly bad if something goes wrong for a few minutes. Obviously, we don't want anything to fail, but we're testing out a feature that we haven't put a lot of pressure and time on. So maybe, I don't know. Richard, get on.
So just make an alias to dist.ipfs.io that's like dist2 or something, and then use that for builds and stuff. And so download stuff from there. It's a mirror of the regular dist, but it goes through IPNS, so then you can see whenever it fails or something in CI.
Yeah, that works.
Then we have random failures in CI, which is something we really don't want.
Which will get IPNS fixed really fast.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that. We also want to have integration testing, which using IPNS for our dists page for CI that's a level of integration testing, I think. So that would be 2 birds with 1 stone there. Reliability. Let's try not to run out of file descriptors. This is a hard problem because there's many layers we can run out of file descriptors at, and each of them handles the issue differently. The block store, or flatfs right now, handles it very well. It has kind of an exponential backoff to retry putting a block. So the worst thing that happens when you run out of file descriptors with flatfs is it will just get slow until the file descriptor pressure is alleviated. LevelDB will fail to put, which kind of sucks because it does throw that to the upper layers and causes whatever operations we were doing there to fail. We might want to try handling that better, like catch that error from LevelDB and retry or something. And then the other one is in libp2p when we're dialing out. That's hard because there's two different ways. It can fail when we're dialing out, which we can handle just by trying to dial again, handling that error. But on the listening side, if somebody tries to connect to us and we're out of file descriptors, then that just fails, and we don't really get a clear idea of when that happens. I'm pretty sure that listen will not return an error if somebody tries to dial us and we can't accept due to file descriptors. Cool. IPLD block store integration. This was somewhere else already. Thought. Yeah, that's in September week 1. So let's move that. Cool. Right, sharding data sheets. But does anybody know what this one refers to?
I'm looking, so just move on to the next one.
Okay. The September week 4. Ship go-ipfs 044. Yeah, that sounds right. Wow. And then the very next week, we're going to ship the 050 RC1. Cool. I don't think that's super realistic. We can try. It really depends on how all of this goes, but there's no room for slack here.
So you're shipping go IPFS 05 in week 4. So when would be realistic to do the 05 RCL1? If you're going to meet the ship date of week 4 for 05.
Realistically, we should, because it's really going to depend how all of the rest of September goes. And if we're able to meet the IPLD block store changes and implement go-IPLD, which isn't actually on this list as far as I can see. And it's kind of a hard requirement for implementing IPLD and shipping the RC1. So we need to have, like, I don't know, back here.
I can't find that card I was looking for, so we don't
Yep, go IPLD. That needs to happen. But that also depends, shipping go IPLD, I believe, depends on the content IDs stuff. So that means this has to go after multi-codecs get implemented. So
Richard, one of the cards, it would be at the bottom of the board. The complete card for...
Yeah, I couldn't see it there. I looked.
The card says IPFS, IPLD, right charting data sheets. I don't know if that helps give more context.
Oh, yeah, I see it now. I still don't know what that means. I'm sorry. I thought maybe there was a spelling error or something.
Charting data sheets? I think it's probably writing up how we choose to shard things into a data structure.
Okay.
Maybe, like basically describing how to do the sharding so that other implementations can do the same thing.
Okay.
Cool.
I'm not sure. This is what comes to mind.
We are now almost 10 minutes over.
Yeah, that's sorry. So while you guys were talking about that, I moved IPLD block store integration back 2 weeks to September week 3 because it depends on go-ipld, and go-ipld depends on having the multi-codex content ID stuff finished. So I moved those to give us a week of time for each, which is that's kind of like tight, but we'll see.
I should have mentioned this earlier. The bowls, denoted here in Markdown by the 2 asterisks, is our main priorities for those sessions. So while everything else can be done there, like the bowl is what we already decided is like this needs to happen. Do you want to keep running through this, or is this enough to go from for now? We can revisit in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I guess we should probably revisit this in a couple of weeks because we'll have a better idea of timelines.
Juan, Emily,
But
makes
one
sense?
thing worth mentioning is that if something runs late, we could build in some buffering into the schedule so that if something goes late in 1 week, it can be picked up in the next one without removing anything critical for that week. Otherwise, that whole thing's going to start sliding, and that's not going to be great.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to push things back for.
It'd also be good to remember at the beginning, the pre-Q3 section should actually be moved to August week 1 if we haven't finished any of those yet. Doesn't look like we have.
Well, it sounds like you said that none of it needs to be carried over.
Okay, cool.
No, not the Q2 stuff, but the stuff we had slated for pre-Q3.
Yeah, at the very top. Should
Yeah.
probably be in August week 1.
Yeah, but let's see. This stuff was not part of that. So this is homeless stuff. I'll just put that back there because it's homeless.
Maybe put it at the bottom so we can figure out what to do with it. Or we can do with it now.
We can leave it there just so we don't forget it.
Yeah.
It looks like, okay, so actually, this makes sense. So those were 3 orphan cards. They were just at the bottom of the board. They weren't slated for any schedule. So if we can figure out where those belong now, that would be good. Or where you think that they would fit in this schedule. So there were cards that were written but weren't assigned a timeline.
They
Yeah,
fit
they
when we
fit
have
in
free time.
Q4.
Okay.
Okay. Then we have October for getting all of IPLD done and shipped. Which
I want to point out that the notes for the performance task was the performance will be performantly performance. And I just thought that was quite funny.
beautiful.
All right, is there anything else you want to cover in this call?
Not necessarily, no. We're already way over time, so we should probably.
It's okay. It's just IPLD next, and you can start that one.
Do we want to note that we want to release RC every week for October? Because I think we'll need 4 RCs. We'll probably end up with 4 RCs. And we should just keep iterating it. Make sure we release RC every week.
That sounds good to me, as long as it's not like I think it's better to have more RCs and more testing before we actually release something, because the past 3 releases haven't been as awesome. So yeah, I think you should note that.
Cool. Well, I think that's good enough for now. We should probably get to talking about IPLD.
Sounds good. Thanks, Jared.
Yep. Cool. See you guys there.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, this was kind of a technical talk about schedule. Hope it was a little useful. Emily, Emily, do you want to take these notes and put them on the issue? and split them, or I can do that now. Either way, IPLD, you got it? You want me to do it?
If you could do it, that'd be great.
I'll do it. Okay. Thank you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ping them at me, and I will get back to them as soon as possible. Otherwise, have a good day, and we'll see you all next week. Unless you're joining IPLD.
See ya.